Hi there. So, my name is Simone, and I've decided to start posting some of my video entry journals. And I basically just started doing this as a reflection of my spiritual journey and the interesting things that happen along the way. I come across a lot of videos and people who have been on the path for a long time, even people I find that I'm attracting into my life now, that I've started this journey. So I'm finding more and more people who are in line with with what with what's coming into my life, and I just find that often there's kind of this disconnect because they've been on the journey for a long time, and um, maybe for me everything is so new and fresh and so magical. So magical. And I just kind of thought that maybe if I reflected on it, it would encourage other people to kind of reflect on their new journeys and also just to connect, maybe. Anyway, so my journey started with, so I was in a really dark space at the time, and then I was suggested a book by a friend called The Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer. And it basically introduced me to the idea that you are not your mind, you are the observer of your mind. And I found the concept very interesting, but strange. I didn't quite understand what they meant until I started practicing it. So he basically suggests you observe your thoughts, and the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more comfortable you get with the idea that you are the consciousness behind those thoughts. He also goes on to explain it as a subject object relationship, where your consciousness is the subject and your thoughts or your mind are the object. And if there's a subject object relationship, then you cannot be the object, you must be the subject, which kind of separates you from your thoughts or your mind. And I found it really empowering. So when I'd be on the bus on the way to work, I would practice. And I still am far from perfecting being able to separate myself, but just having that awareness of the fact that I can, and when I really try, being able to do it successfully and practicing it every day whenever little disturbances kind of come into my life. It's so much easier to just um, say to myself, you are not your thoughts. And just to observe those thoughts and allow whatever feelings to come up to come and then to pass. And they pass so much quicker, they bother me less. And I just feel a lot lighter. It's been about 4 months since I started this journey, and so much has happened from then to now. Um, but I'll get more into the details of some of those experiences. I'm still trying to navigate them as well because I guess it's all really foreign right now. I've always been open to the possibility of, things that maybe I haven't experienced or that I can't really understand or relate to being a possibility. Um, but now that I'm experiencing them, it kind of feels like I was never as open as I thought I was. And it's just a very interesting and fun journey. Um, there were moments in the beginning where I did feel a bit afraid because of some things that were happening. I couldn't understand them, and it did seem a little scary. Also because of things that had happened in the past before I started this journey, and it scared me to think that I might be opening up the possibility of those things happening again. But I've since then kind of learned to relax into it more and just allow the process to happen and just get more comfortable with strange things happening and to welcome them, to welcome those things, because there's a whole world that we've been so oblivious to. And finally, I can understand a lot of the conversations that are happening that before it just seemed like, I mean, even Eckhart Tolle, reading some of his posts, I remember following him on Instagram um, at one point and just being like, I can't relate. There were one or two posts where I was like, oh, this is amazing. But thereafter, everything else that was popping up, I eventually unfollowed because I was like, I can't relate to any of this, and it's just on my feed all the time. And it became more bothersome. But now, since the journey has begun and I've started having these experiences, it makes so much more sense just being able to understand and relate to those experiences feels incredibly powerful. Like, I feel for the first time that I really do have control over how I respond to life's events. Whereas before, it was very reactionary. You know, something happens, you get disturbed, you feel you have the right to respond in whatever emotional way you respond. And you do, of course you do. But I mean, what good does it serve you at the end of the day? You know, you're gonna feel crappy for the next 2 weeks if you're gonna allow it to last that long, and for some of us 10 years, you know. But just knowing that you have the option to step outside of life's disturbances and just allow life to happen around you and to be okay with whatever happens. So I was recently tested with all these lessons that I've been learning. So of course, you know, every day there's little tests that come up. Little disturbances, and you just watch them, allow them to pass, or get grumpy for a little while and then decide that you don't want to spend your whole day that way and change your mind. But recently, like last week, I had something more significant come up, and I didn't realize that, you know, I was still as bothered as I was by it. But as soon as I allowed that anger to pass and I just did a little moment of reflection and stepped or tried to step outside of my ego, it was very difficult in that moment. But I just kind of realized that I should be grateful for those disturbances because it drew my attention to where I'm not yet healed. And that felt like a really powerful moment. My dog is pushing my arm up. Yeah, that felt like a really powerful moment. And um, just the gratitude for the disturbances that have come up, um, like really significant ones over the last 10 years. And I guess maybe in later videos, I might tap into some of those a little. Depending on how comfortable I kind of feel sharing. This is my first video that I'm really sharing on this kind of platform. Sorry. And I guess we'll just see how the journey goes from this point. But it's just really exciting to know that I'm at a point where I feel comfortable enough with myself to share really sacred parts of my journey. And yeah, I hope that whoever this reaches, that something um, resonates with you, and who knows, maybe we'd connect and have a chat about the journey as well. Um, yeah, so good luck on yours if you've just started as well. Thank you so much.